I am Monica Ahens Madden with IMakeFOSS, and I'm here with Anita Ihuman, who has been I always get tripped up on this term, our guest curator for this past week on IMakeFOSS. And she is a software developer and open source contributor, and we are very happy to have you.
Thank you. Hello, Monica. Hello, everyone.
You're welcome. And thank you. I know that you just finished recording a session for a conference. Which conference?
Oh, okay. It's the Techno Day conference. It's for women in open source.
Yes, that's awesome. And what talk are you going to be giving?
Oh, okay. The section was imposter syndrome in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yeah.
man, that is fantastic. And so we will. Those videos are coming out on March 8th, I think.
Wow, that's great. The section itself will be released on March 8th. Too.
Excellent.
Really fun.
Well, we will definitely have to keep a watch out for that, and hopefully, we will put a link to that in in the notes for this video. So that's
Okay.
fantastic, and it was great to recognize. I think you and Ruth and Nuritzi and some of
Mhm.
the other guest curators we've had at IMakeFOSS this past year, who are all speakers at this. So yeah,
We are doing great.
so is this your first time speaking at it?
I make calls, yes.
Mm-hmm. And also for Techno Days, is this your first time giving a talk there?
Oh yeah, this was my first time. I applied last year, but I wasn't able to get through, and luckily, I got in this year. So I was so eager to
Yeah,
give my section.
that's fantastic. So tell me, how long have you been a software developer and an open source contributor?
Okay, I got into programming generally sometime February last year. So
Mm-hmm.
this should be making it 1 year,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been great so far. And I started contributing to open source. Uh, I think sometime in August. Yeah, and I've been trying my best since then, and it's
That
been great.
that's fantastic. And I feel like there is just kind of a cohort of people because February 2020 was when I got started as an open source contributor as well. That a lot of us just kind of decided that we were going to make that our year to make this
Yeah, it
finally
happens to a
happen.
lot of persons I know too. Like
Yeah.
so many persons have to like actually experience the same thing. So I think it's a general thing.
Yeah,
Last
and
year.
yeah, and it's just great that so many of them have kind of come across our radar to talk to. So cool. So what is your specific, because I'm someone who doesn't come from the software development side. I have like barely done like a little bit of Python off and on. That's pretty much it. So what kind of development do you do?
Okay. I'm a React developer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually looking at going full stack, but right now I'm like focusing so much on front end because it's been fun. The
Mm-hmm.
projects I've been exercising with, they've been so great so far. Actually realized that there's so many things I could use front end development for, and it's been fun. So that's what I've been doing so far. React and um every other thing on the front end.
Mm-hmm. And I saw, I went to your website and that you had a cat related React project.
Oh yes.
So,
That was. That was my first React project.
Mm-hmm. And
after after about 3 to 4 months of watching React courses, that was the first time I attempted actually using React to do a project.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and you had some really great things about how I think for a lot of us who are kind of self teaching or community teaching through this, we're watching videos, we're reading websites, we're using books. And when it comes to that moment where instead of following what someone's done and we decide to do our own thing, that's just it's this huge jump.
I agree. It gets scary.
Yeah. But what how did you feel after you I know that the site is still a work in progress, but how did you
Yeah.
feel once you got it to that point where you're like, okay, this is a solid first draft of the page?
I was excited. I was so excited. I felt like after so many months of putting in countless days and nights of watching videos and practicing what other person is doing, I've finally understood to a point where I can actually make an attempt on my own without looking at a video or
Yeah.
reading through tutorials and so many documentation. I actually just did it and I was super excited. I think I posted it on every of my social media platforms
Yep.
because I had to make everybody see that yes, I'm actually making progress.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like that moment of triumph where we want people to see, yes, I got it. It clicked. And it's just and it's
Yeah,
great when you have people around you who are cheering you on and wanting you to learn, and it's that's a really good feeling.
actually. And from posting that particular project, I actually
Mhm.
realized that there's so many persons that are scared to make an
Mhm.
attempt. So I was not the only one actually. And I think I actually helped posting my own helped other people want to post their own efforts too. So that meant a lot too.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the kind of scary things about learning in public, and especially for those of us who have those perfectionist tendencies who don't want to post anything unless it's
It's
absolutely
perfect.
perfect. To see that it's just, that nobody is getting it absolutely perfect. Even the people we look up to as like, oh, you're amazing at this. They're like, I screw up all the time. So,
I agree. A lot of persons experience that too.
yeah. And so I think just hearing that from people, both at kind of the start of our journeys, but both kind of later on in our journeys, is really helpful. I think I had that learning curve with Git this year. So it was just like at the start, I broke the, not broke, but almost broke the Ubuntu Mate website repository more than once. And Luke was just like, okay, we're going to go through this. But he was just so patient and like, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing this. Show me what you're doing. And then he would see, he's like, oh, you're doing this when you should do this. And I'm like, okay. And it took months. I mean, I didn't get my main timeline like organized and clean till I think about 2 months ago. But now I feel like when I'm doing PRs, I'm actually doing branches, I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing. So,
And
yeah.
like I actually went through the Git curve too because I had to take a whole lot of tutorials and asking questions to
Mm-hmm.
understand how Git works. And I think I abandoned several tasks that I was appointed because I couldn't use Git as at then.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear that there are people who are like senior people in the field who have been doing this kind of thing for like a decade who still only use the web interface on GitHub because they're just like, I'm not even messing with it. Either in a GUI or the command line, they're just like, nope, I'm just going to edit it on the web page. That's it. And so, um, yeah. So,
The last project I contributed to, I actually wanted to just do the whole web thing, but they actually expect every contributor to sign, and I do that on the web. So you have to do it locally, and that was how I actually got to learn how to use Git because I was always avoiding it until that project.
I think that we all avoid it until like we have to up our skills, and then it's like, okay, fine, I'll figure out how to
I'll
do
just do
this.
it.
Yeah, so which now, so which project was that with?
Okay, that's layer 5. It's
Mm-hmm.
an open source project. Yeah. So they work with Mesh-Ray and Mesh-Ray Kubernetes and other back-end stuff.
Very cool.
It's,
It
it's a really welcoming community.
That's always good.
Mhm.
Having those communities that are open to new people, open to questions, and are just those places where once you get there, you're like, okay, I could stay here for a while.
I swear.
Yeah. So you're contributing to Layer 5. Now, was that the first open source project that you started with?
Yes, actually, that was the first I actually was assigned an issue in. That's
Mm-hmm.
because the first one I initially attempted, I couldn't fix the issue, so I
Mm-hmm.
built on it,
Oh,
and I never
wow.
went. So when I found layer 5, I just said, okay, I could just stay here forever. I don't think I'm leaving this project.
That's fantastic. And what kind of what brought Layer 5 to your attention? How did you find out about it?
Okay, I got to know about layer 5 from She Code Africa. They
Mhm.
were doing open source. Okay, She Code Africa is a community for females that they are willing to actually get females involved in tech industry.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I saw they were doing this open source contribution thing. So if you're able to contribute to a number of projects, you'll be given a gift. So
Mhm.
I was curious, and then I saw layer 5 there, and that was the only project I could attempt to, because the other ones are looking so technical. So I had to just
Yeah.
slide in, and
Yeah.
I was able to finish a task there, and the community, they were able to like help me finish my issue. I was so welcome that I just had to stay.
That's fantastic, and it's great when those kind of those hacking fest can bring people into projects and help them get things done, but then also welcome them into the community too. And
Yeah.
so I think I know like there was all kind of talk about how Hacktoberfest this past year maybe just got like a bunch of kind of spam P-
Oh
PRs,
yeah.
but I think that when it's managed well, that you can also get people into your community that you would have never gotten before. And
Yeah.
you'll
True.
get
True.
yeah, and you'll get their point of view, their insight, their skills, and it can be a great
Mm-hmm.
chance to
And your
look
ideas
outside.
too. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
It all depends, though, if the community is able to actually welcome the
Mhm.
contributors that came in during that period.
Mhm.
Yes, it depends on how welcoming the community is towards their contributors, because that plays a big role in how much you can retain your contributors.
That really does, and that's something that's definitely has become kind of one of my passions as an open source as an open source contributor is figuring out how do you not only attract new community members, but how do you keep them and how do you help them grow and get new skills and thrive. So it's such an important thing. So besides layer 5, I noticed you're also involved with a few other projects too.
Yeah, just
Mm-hmm.
a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Contributing to Chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and Chaos is an open source community that is focused on diversity and inclusive badging. And
Mm-hmm.
so they issue badges to open source communities or persons projects that apply. So depends on the level of inclusivity and diversity towards the contributors and the attendees when it comes to events. So the issue badges either gold or metallic or yes, so the issue badges to other events. And also I'm contributing to GNOME Foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been
They're a pretty awesome group.
yes, I've
Mm-hmm.
been contributing to that for a while. I'm helping with the content creating in GNOME Africa on their blog.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
they've just got some fantastic people with that project, and I got to know them last year. So,
Yeah, it's an amazing community.
and it's such a global community, and it's just you have really that participation from it seems like all parts of the gnome community, which is pretty awesome. So, I went to my first Squadec last year online, threw them a tea party,
Yeah,
and I'm going to be like, let me throw you another one this year. So I saw that their call for papers has just gone out. So hopefully, it would be great to see. I'm part of the Ubuntu community, and GNOME is our upstream. And so it would be
well,
great to,
that's
yeah. And so it would be great to go as not just a tea party thrower this year, though I do.
okay.
Yeah, so if anyone's listening to this from GNOME, the offer's out there. I have tea. Lots of tea. Oh,
All
God.
right, all
Yeah.
right.
But it's just, but
I'm
that,
looking forward to attending.
yeah, but that is, and I think some of the systems that they have to help new contributors, like with their GitLab and how everything is labeled, or it seems like a
Yeah,
lot of things are labeled like, oh, hey, this is a good thing for new volunteers to do. So that I think is
yeah,
really
yeah.
helpful because if you don't know
And
where to get started.
the documentations are like really curated in a way that if you have this
Mm-hmm.
documentation, you can contribute to any project as on that particular foundation. So I like the way they arrange the documentation. It's nice.
Yeah,
It's easy to go around.
and it's great because it seems like a lot of open source projects will kind of look at each other's, documentation and processes and see, okay, well, this works for them. Why does it work? And here's what we like about it, and here's how we can maybe do something like that to help our community thrive.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I remember I only have the two projects, which is Ubuntu Mate and OpenMRS. And OpenMRS, I modeled our kind of guide for new volunteers a lot off the Fedora guide. So because their guide for new people, I just went over it and I'm like, that's really nice, and it almost got me to be like, hey, I'll volunteer. It's like, wait, no, I don't have time. Which is hot. And so, how do you balance? How do you balance contributing to all three of these projects?
Um, that's the thing. Some days I feel like I can actually handle. three projects, and I want to hide under my bed and not come online and because I'm still trying to learn and I still have to contribute. But on the second hand, it's really, really cool because in layer five, I get to contribute to documentation and then also help with the community work. And then in chaos, I'm helping with the reviews. So, and then also any issue that comes up, I can also pick it up and then GNOME too. And the timing is like on separate days of the week, which is a very good balance. I
Mm-hmm.
can always attend meetings for this today and then tomorrow is this one. So although it's sometimes I get scared. I feel like I can't actually handle three projects, but at the end of the day, see me, I'm taking all three.
Yeah,
I'm taking all three,
that's great.
and it's going well.
Yeah, so it seems like the talk that you just recorded for Techno Days, and that we'll get to hear in just about 2 weeks now. It sounds
Yeah,
like that talk about imposter syndrome and overcoming it was
yeah.
kind of coming from personal experience.
Yes, actually, it was because that's I had to deal with it like sometime ending of last year into beginning of this year because I was anxious of what I'm expected to do, like the tasks awaiting me in 2021. So I'm like, I think this year has so many things involved. I should just take a break. I don't think I can handle any of this. And for quite some time, I was not interacting on social media or any of the communities. I had to like abandon so many things. I wasn't taking on issues. And so I at that point I missed out on a lot of things, but then I also learned a lot of things during that period too, and I had to deal with my insecurities. So I think the conference was a way to tell people that yes, people, everyone goes through this, and I like to share mine with you too. So that was how I was able to apply for the conference.
Yeah, it seems like, and it's funny because it's such an isolating thing to go through because it makes us feel like we're the only one who feels that way. And then the more we
Yeah,
start to open up, it's just like, oh, wait, this is actually super common.
a
And
general.
yeah. And so I think anything that helps us kind of reach out to other people and get their support and encouragement so we can kind of deal with the imposter syndrome on our own is really helpful. So,
Actually, because while you're going through this feeling, you're like, if what if I tell this person, the person might actually know that I don't understand this thing. And that fear will make you not want to actually tell the person. But then what if you actually tell the person, what's going to happen? What's the worst that could happen? They're
yeah.
going to see they'll see your bad sides. Okay, they'll see that you're not good enough. Yes, you're not good enough, but you're here. And you're making effort to be better. So that's what matters.
Yeah. I mean, better to have the person who doesn't quite know it yet but keeps trying than the person who knows
Yeah,
it all but doesn't ever try.
try at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is something that, coming from an academic background where imposter syndrome is also just rampant, I think it kind of helped me prepare for when it reared its head here. It's like, oh yeah, I know this feeling. But I think also making sure that your community knows that when people ask these questions, you respond to them in a kind and compassionate way. It's like, remember, you used to be new. You didn't know everything either. So if you treat
Yeah.
them, if you help them learn it, that's going to be so much better than saying, oh my, I can't believe you don't know this thing. So,
No way.
yeah. So it seems like you also have some really great communities and projects to learn from. So, what
Yes.
is, yeah, so considering you had this really, I mean, it's sad because in every other way, 2020 was such an awful year. And, but then for some of us, we were able to learn so much and do so much during it. So, what are your plans and hopes for this year? What do you want to contribute? What do you want to learn?
Okay. Well, last year my learning was unexpected. I didn't actually expect that I would learn as much as I did last year, or even
Mm-hmm.
make effort towards my personal growth like I did last year. But this year, I'm like quite aware, although I am like very nervous and anxious about the outcome, but I'm looking forward to improving my technical skills
Mm-hmm.
generally because I want to be a full stack developer and I know and I'm working towards it. So I want to put in more effort towards that, learn more technologies, and also expand my knowledge towards software development. And aside that, I want to contribute to like numerous open source projects and advocate in the best ways because I want a lot of persons to see that open source helps you not only um, when it comes to your technical skills, but when it comes to like personal growth as a whole, you
Mm-hmm.
actually learn a whole lot from contributing to open source. So I really wish to impact that knowledge to so many people in the best ways that I can. And my blog, I really want to put in so much effort in writing. Although I've been experiencing writer's block for like 2 weeks, I've not been able to develop any content, but I really am looking forward to putting in more effort and improving on writing and also do more public speaking because it's helping me get over my camera shyness. So I'm
Yay!
really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I used to be a really camera shy person, and then they asked me to do these interviews, and I'm like, okay. So it's just sometimes just doing it is the only way to get over that fear.
I
So
agree. I agree.
yeah, but also we're
So the
happy.
first talk,
Hmm?
the first talk, I didn't put on my camera because I was scared um they will see how scared I was
Oh
from the camera.
no.
I had to put on my camera,
Yeah, I
but it's getting better.
well, I'm so glad that you're now, doing these interviews with us. You're doing this talk at Techno Days, and hopefully a lot of other conferences to come this next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is kind of nice with them being online, is that, whereas before, like traveling to some of them just would have been so expensive. And now it's
I
like,
agree.
yeah, we just, record the video, we show up, we talk to people, but it will be great when we get to see each other in person. Hopefully at Aquatic
Um,
in the future.
yes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's
All right. Well, Anita, is there anything else you would like to share with us before you go, or any advice that you have for someone just getting into open source?
okay. Well, the only advice I would like to give out to anyone contributing to open source or just getting involved is, um, it's okay to like contribute to projects without expecting payment for it. Because I've seen like so many people say that the challenge for contributing to open source is that they're not getting paid for it and they're not actually earning. But when you look on the bright side, some of the projects that people contribute to, even if they're not getting financial rewards, the network they build from open source, please like goes a long way. Like that butterfly effect that works when you contribute to open source takes you farther than you'd actually imagine. So you shouldn't always look at the financial reward, but you should also look at the mental growth and the interpersonal relationship you get to build with people, and also the technical skills that you build while working on on open source projects because they're like actual projects and you get an opportunity to contribute to a project that thousands of persons are going to end up using, and you actually played a major role in that. That is something you should be proud of. So you should start contributing to open source.
That is brilliant advice. Well, I cannot wait to hear your talk at Techno Days. And thank you so much for being our guest curator this past week.
Thank you so
All
much for this
right.
opportunity.
Of course. Well, Anita, thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'm sure I'm going to see you around a lot of the same open source circles quite a bit, which is awesome.
Thanks. Definitely.
All right. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.